I keep telling myself I need to make new YouTube videos, and there's new patch notes to talk about in FF14. It seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? All right, we got the patch notes of the Dark Throne, and they are now complete. We're going to go over this very, very briefly, and that's pretty much all there's going to be to it. We're going to give you like the very, very basics, what you need to know. For starters, 6.4, this is going to be what I refer to as a tick patch, meaning that there's a gear reset. There is a lot of new content. This is basically like, this is a big patch. A talk, which is what you're going to get afterwards with 6.5, you're going to get your alliance raid and just kind of an enhancement on the previous one. We kind of take this TikTok mentality, or this TikTok kind of phrasing from the tech industry that tend to develop processors and GPUs in a TikTok cycle, even though no one does it anymore. So this is a tick. This is gonna be a big one. And in fact, MSQ wise, I'm gonna leave my thoughts out of it. I gave kind of a brief look at what I think is gonna happen when I talked about the trailer for this, so I'm going to leave kind of all that out, but we have all of our new quests. It's going to start at Rods at Han. Good luck. That's all I can say. Character portrait have been implemented from bio dialogue during the main scenario instanced quest battle starting from patch 2.0 quest Brotherly Love through the final quest of patch 2.55. This is referring to when there's dialogue messages in the middle of the screen, there being a character portrait next to that. This is not talking about your character portrait. Don't worry, there's gonna be nothing screwy going on there. It's you know the meme, this is Thancred. It's that portrait. Don't think this is anything crazy. This is a nice little update. It's nice for the newbies, but you know, it is what it is. Pandemonium, Labyrinthos. Do you know where to go now? And we got 5 quests. Wait, 5? So it's going to go 9, 10, 11, 12. Wrap up? We're going to dive straight into it, aren't we, in the normal mode? Because before it had us go through quite a bit to get there. And it was 6 quests for Abyssos. We're going to go ahead and see. New side quest, A Fairy Tale Come True. That is going to be for the fairy clam. So you can go ahead and turn Eos into Celine, the far superior fairy. Don't at me. Or turn it into a carbuncle so you can go on a high carb diet. Aggressive expansion. Old Charlene looks pretty interesting. It looks like this might have to do with, or no, this is Totaro's Grand Endeavor. That's actually really diving into a look at how things are with Gaius and the orphans. I might actually have to go ahead and do that. Be a little curious now. Island Sanctuary, the ideal marriage. Part of the whole expansion, of the Island Sanctuary there. I could look into this title forever, but it's going to not be helpful. The graphic for the quest icon that displays above escort NPCs has been changed for certain quests. Neat. Okay, anyway. New items available with gemstone traders. Not too surprising. New stuff has been added. So, of course, there's going to be new mats for the new stuff. Which means do your fates. Do your fates. Do your fates. You don't like it. I don't like it, but we got to do them. Treasure maps now have new treasures to be found. Both the Excitatrons and the Shifting Gymnasium Argon, or whatever. You know what I mean. Both treasure maps, both Elpis maps and non-Elpis maps have new stuff. What new stuff? We could probably dig into it and find out, or I'm going to let that to experts. New symbols available for grand companies. Neat. The subaquatic voyages for FCs has been expanded. This is not abnormal. This is pretty normal. A message displays when confirming the results of housing has been changed when you're the only person who participated in the lottery. I haven't gone into a lottery yet where there's only been one person, mostly because the only place I've been doing house hunting is on Balmung, and there's at least 700 people for a small trying to go for it. It's not quite that bad, but still. But I am curious what that message is going to be. You will now see an icon that shows if they are if people have written in your guest book that share the same homeworld as you, and or the same free company as you. Neat. New housing items. Looks nice. New aquarium fish. That's a turtle. New plants. Those are plants. Anyway. New stuff for Triple Triad. No surprise. Island Sanctuary. 4 new ranks. Now up to 16. New quests. New items to get. New gathering area. New gathering points. New materials. New construction plots. New construction options. Silos needed. Silos needed. Silos needed. Tiberium field depleted. Wait, no, wrong game. New facilities have been added. New sanctuary crafting recipes have been added. New Protos has been added. It expanded. Also, outdoor furniture can now be added. But outdoor furniture, you only need one of an item and you can keep copy and pasting it everywhere. Sounds weird out loud, but it makes sense. It also means that if you were like me and hoped you could go ahead and make big bucks selling your craftable outdoor furniture, you might be SOL. But we'll see how the market behaves. The limit is up to 90. 90 outdoor furniture items when the Island Sanctuary has been at the maximum progress. Interesting. New hair for Vera. Neat. New hairstyle for Hrothgar. Neat. Sephirothgar exists. Run! There has been stuff for the Wondrous Tales have been added. I don't understand the Wondrous Tales. Moving on. There's a bed you could get for doing Wondrous Tales. There's a new Unreal. It involves that demon dude. You can now finally do that emote where you put your hand over your heart and then contemplate your life and someone else's life. And it kind of makes me wonder, how is this not an emote already? Like, we see this frequently in the MSQ. How did it take us until now this has been a new emote? I also wonder if this is one you have to unlock, or is it just there? Because like the content emote was just there. We didn't have to do anything new. It was just there, period. Battle systems. All right. Let's take a look. Riot Blade. Potency increased from 120 to 140. Combo potency increased from 280 to 300. So Riot Blade, now 300 potency. Less if you messed up. Circle of Scorn, now 120 potency. Divine Veil. I'm pretty sure Divine Veil is your AoE mitt that isn't your wings. I don't know the details of Divine Veil because I'm not a paladin. But that range has been increased from 15 yalms to 30 yalms. It's going to get the party now, don't worry. You still need to go and keep up and still in raids. Get in the middle with your healers for healing. Don't think this means you can just be up in front and for the lulz. Royal Authority potency up to 400 down from 380. Atonement potency has gone from 380 to 400. The execution of this skill no longer interrupts action combos. Good. Warrior potency of Storm's Path increased to 440, up from 430. Vengeance. The vulnerability down status effect has been combined with the Vengeance status effects. So normally when you'd use Vengeance, you'd get a Vuln down that was minus 30 damage coming in, and then a Vengeance buff that would just go ahead and do attacks back. By putting in a one buff, this makes it so it's so that it's harder for the warrior to accidentally hit the buff and debuff limit. Spaghetti code. I'm surprised it was not moved down to one buff already. Storm's Eye potency was matched to Storm's Path. No surprise. Fellcleave went up from 490 to 520. Upheaval up from 370 to 400. Shake It Off affects the planet. This might be the only AoE heal that actually got up, that actually had its range increased. Shake It Off gives a heal, it gives a hot, it gives a barrier, it gives a mitt, it does your taxes, it cures cancer, it raises your mother from the dead, it does everything. Shake It Off does everything. It even filled this coffee mug. I lied, it didn't do that because the server's down. It does everything. I'm surprised they went ahead and buffed it. But then again, it looks like every single buff AoE that centers from you has been increased. Inner Chaos potency has been increased from 650 to 660. This I find really interesting. The fact that Fellcleave, the one you spam more often, gets 30 potency increase, but Inner Chaos, the bigger one that you get from using not Inner Release, Infuriate, that only gets a 10 potency upgrade. It's like barely noticeable. Just interesting. Dark Knight. We knew they were just going to get flipped off. They in fact got flipped off. Dark Missionary just got its range increased, which is also their version of Divine Veil and Shake It Off. Pretty sure it just decreases the amount of magic damage everyone takes. That range has been increased from 15 to 30 yalms. We kind of knew Dark Knight was going to get nothing. Guess what? They got nothing. Gunbreaker. They got more potency for some reason. Keen Edge went from 170 to 200. Brutal Shell went from 130 to 160, or 270 to 300 if you did it right. And Heart of Light. What a surprise. It went from 15 yalms to 30 yalms. You're going to see a lot of 15 yalms to 30 yalms. Speaking of which, Monk. Mantra went from 15 yalms to 30 yalms. Brotherhood went from 15 yalms to 30 yalms. Do you see a theme with this yet? Jump. Now, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't understand Dragoon. Our not really raid leader in our static is a Dragoon main. He said that this is fan freaking tastic. These are like one of the reasons why Dragoons get killed in high-end content. Jump can now be executed while bound. To improve the functionality of the action, jump will no longer affect the character's position as recognized by the server. The camera will no longer follow your character when executing the jump. So it just sounds like jump does the jump animation, but it doesn't put you in an animation lock anymore. You can still just like do things. That's at least what it sounds like to me. Battle Litany increased from 15 to 30 yalms. Wow. Dragon Sight now nullifies action direction requirement for self. I don't know if it's going to be like during the whole duration you don't need to do positionals, or if it's just like the next action you do doesn't need positionals. It sounds like the way it's phrased, it is in fact during the whole duration you could ignore positionals. Which I don't know how I feel about it. Like when I was kind of a novice player and just doing like normal content and didn't really like touch the melee jobs at all, but now that I've like started to touch the melee jobs and started doing high-end content, I feel like the positionals really do need to stay, if only because hitting the positionals do differentiate the average player from the high-end player. It is that little bit that those who actually hunt for a faster kill, for example, really want to try and do. Get all of that done perfectly. So more skills that just like, just ignore positionals, whatevs. I get mixed feelings about it. But I'm sure every single melee is like, shut the f up. What's wrong with you? No. Give me more tools to ignore positionals. I must DPS faster. I jump, same sort of buff that jump got. Good stuff. Samurai, buffed for no adequately explored reason. I'm going to mispronounce these words. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm just going to also tell you this right now. If you tell me how it's actually pronounced in the comments, I don't care. Not at all. Nope. Don't care. Tenka Goken increased to 8 yalms from 5. I don't know what that skill is. Hisasatu Satsu Seni potency has been increased from 800 to 860. Keshi Goken radius has been increased from 5 yalms to 8 yalms. Oh, are these the AoEs? Are those the AoEs? I can't check. The game's it's still in maintenance mode. And I'm too lazy to go to the website to learn. Shoha, potency increased from 520 to 560. Ogi Namakiri, potency increased from 800 to 860. Keishi Namakiri, potency increased from 800 to 860. Like, I think Samurai got the biggest potency buffs of everyone. And I don't know why. They did not need it. But they did. They got Samurai buffs. It would not surprise me at all if all of a sudden our Reaper and Dragoon became 2 Samurais. I would not be surprised at all. This is stupid. Reaper, Arcane Circle, been increased from 15 yalms to 30 yalms. Hull range DPS, Peloton increased from 20 yalms to 30 yalms. Bard, yalms. You got yalms for days. Mage's Ballad, yalms, 30 to 50. Army's Paean, yalms, 30 to 50. Battle Voice, yalms, 20 to 30. Wandering Minette, yalms, 30 to 50. Also, range of the the range of the additional effect granting Wanderer's Minette to self in the party. Oh wait, no, okay, yeah, pretty much yalms, 30 to 50. Troubadour, yalms, 20 to 30. Nature's Mine, yalms, 20 to 30. Radiance Finale, yalms, 20 to 30. Machinist Tactician, yalms, 20 to 30. Dancer, Shield Zamba, yalms, 20 to 30. All the technical finishes, yalms, 15 to 30. Black Mage didn't get yalms. They got buffed. I don't know why, but they did. Xenoglossy, 800 to 880. 80 potency on Xenoglossy. Why? We don't know. Just because. Why not? Just. Well. And also enhanced Enochian. Gives now 2% additional magic damage. Just straight up damage buff. Summoner, Searing Light, gets yalms, 15 to 30. Red Mage, Embolden Magic Barrier, yalms, 15 to 30. I was actually sad on the stream when I read this. Because right now, I've been trying to work on my DPS as Red Mage, and Red Mage is the only class I have at 90 right now. That's on my main. My alt's another story. But Red Mage DPS right now is kind of the point where you either perfect the class, or the general advice you're given is just play Summoner because you do more damage and it requires less skill to do that more damage. Like, Red Mage right now is just in damage jail. They are just a non-optimal choice. The only thing you bring to that party is that magic barrier, which is nice mitt. It's something that Black Mage and Summoner both don't bring. And reses for Prague. That's it. When it comes to the clear, you feel like a hindrance. It's annoying, and I'm actually really sad to see there's not some kind of potency increase to bring Red Mage's damage to be like at least closer to Summoners. And then I get down to White Mage and I see they got a potency buff. Their dot went from 60 to 65, both on the initial hit and every tick. But you know what? That's enough griping about little things. So we need to go back to the real theme. Asylum, Yalms, 10 to 15. Temperance, Yalms, 30 to 50. Scholar, Fey Illumination, Yalms, 15 to 30. Sacred Soil, Yalms, 10 to 15. Deployment Tactics, Yalms, 15 to 30. Seraphic Illumination, Yalms, 15 to 30. Consolation, Yalms, 20 to 30. Expedient, Yalms, 15 to 30. Astrologian, Divination, Yalms, 15 to 30. Collective Unconsciousness, I don't know. Teams aside, I actually don't know much about this skill. But this seems like a massive change. Range of additional effect of reducing damage taken by 10% has been increased from 10 to 30 Yalms. Additional effect of reducing damage taken now has a duration of 5 seconds. The effect will be reapplied upon re-entering bounds of the collective unconsciousness. I assume... I don't know what this is. I don't know if that's the bomb or what. I don't know Astro skills yet. Sage, Yalms. They just got Yalms. Carachole, I think is how it's pronounced. Yalms, 15 to 30. This is 2 Yalms, 15 to 30. Olos, Yalms, 15 to 30. Panheima, Yalms, 15 to 30. Eucrasian Dosis, just potency buff, 70 to 75. Summon Selene has been removed. The following skills now have unique animations. So, see, we let you, we let you, Mr. Red Mage, get a new look to Magic Barrier, so you can feel special. See, we helped you. Here's a kiss on the forehead. Mwah.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Anyway. Peloton, Troubadour, Tactician, Searing Light, Magic Barrier, Whispering Dawn, Fey Illumination, Expedient Divination. I'm willing to bet this is just, these skills look different because their range increased. Limit breaks have been adjusted to reduce the variance in their damage dealt. We don't know what this means yet. We assume it means like, oh, well, the Ninja LB3 is weaker than the Reaper LB3, so the Reaper should do it. I don't know if that variance has been reduced, or does it mean like the variance between the Caster LB3, the Ranged LB3, and the Melee LB3? Does it mean that Ver Flashbang is now just as powerful as Reaper's the End? Let me have it. Let me have it. Let me have something. No, I'd be ejected from the raid if I wanted to Ver Flashbang out of anything other than about to be wipe. Glamour's gonna be applied to the Scholar Fairy. Just go to that one quest we talked about earlier at the Limsa lower decks. Quest name is Forgotten But Not Gone. This will let you go ahead and use the text command Iggy Glamour or Pet Glamour. It'll be used to change the appearance of your fairy back to Selene. seems kind of weird they're still keeping the name of the skill as Summon Eos. I would have thought they would have named it to like Summon Fairy or something like that, but I guess. You can also change it to a carbuncle, possibly a colored carbuncle. I would honestly just want to go ahead and glamour it to like the color of like Alphino's old carbuncle. But I digress. Pets that are moving will now stop immediately to execute actions when commanded, so there's not a huge delay if you need that that fairy regen to go out now. Anyway, text space filter has been applied to the Blue Mage spellbook. I'm sure that's helpful. The following edition has been adjusted to the Blue Mage lock. A weekly challenge category has been added, which shows your weekly targets of how much you want to suffer. Content of the log can now be collapsed or displayed per expansion, just so you can see exactly where in each expansion you want to go suffer. Location enemies have been adjusted in Lower Lanasia, Amarang, and Garlemald. There's a new dungeon. Moving on. There's a new trial. Moving on. There's a new extreme of the said trial. Moving on. There's a new Unreal. Moving on. There's a new raid. Moving on. There's a savage of that raid. That's we'll actually talk a little bit about the savage, because there actually are some interesting changes that did happen to the savage. Savage will be releasing 1 week after the patch day, so there is no day one savage rating, which is good for me, by the way, because I like doing the first 2 days to just go ahead and absorb the story and theory craft and nerd out. So I'm very grateful we're not doing day one progging, because I'd be upset. Anyway, the biggest change that's happening is that first off, there is only 1 chest now instead of 2. But the loot you'd get is still going to be the same. It's just going to be contained in that 1 chest. Why are they making this change? I don't know. But what is changing is the book requirements. Now, the weapon costs 8 Mythos 4s. That's normal. The Gladiator's weapon costs 5 Mythos 4. The shield costs 3 Mythos 4. The head costs 4 Mythos 2s. That's normal. The body went from the 4th tier now to tier 3 and only costs 6 instead of 8. So this means now you can go ahead and get your chest piece before struggling against Hephaestus for 3.5 months. Snakes. Anyway, this, I don't know why this one that changed earlier. I can't believe you had to clear the whole raid tier to get your chest piece. I get the weapon, because that's like the unique thing to Savage as a glamour piece. It's your trophy. It's the highest item level there. The chest piece was always the same as every other gear piece. It made no sense. Why should a 630, or in this case a 660 chest piece, be on the same level as a 665 weapon? It made no sense to me. So that has been rectified. Hands, 4 of Mythos 2. Legs, also still in Mythos 3, but cost went down to 6. Good stuff. Feet, Mythos 2, 4. All the accessories now only cost 3 of Mythos 1. Now, Divine Solvent is 4 Mythos 3s, Divine Twine, 4 Mythos 3s, Divine Shine, 3 Mythos 2s. So the Shine most likely is to tome upgrade your accessory pieces. I'm not sure which one Twine and Solvent would do, because I don't recall. It's direct of Shine and Brine. Oh, Twine and Brine. Whichever it is. One of them is going to upgrade your weapon. The other is going to upgrade your armor pieces that aren't accessories. but they're both from Mythos 3 and they both cost 4. I honestly think it's kind of weird because they're exactly the same. Why have them as separate items? That seems a little silly to me. I would have gone ahead and had the one that's used for the armor pieces be it like 3 Mythos 3s. But that's just me. You can also now downgrade your Mythos 4 books to a Mythos 1, Mythos 2, or Mythos 3 at a cost of 1 to 1. So if you're just doing 10 re-clears of P12S for the sake of the achievement, you also now have all those books you can go ahead and use on whatever piece you want. Which I'd say, nice. Very nice. I approve. All right, the following duties have been added to the Raid Finder, the Voidcast Dias Extreme, the Raid Finder meaning the high-end duty finder, the Voidcast Dias Extreme, the new Extreme, the new Unreal, and the Savages, all put into high-end duty finder. No surprise there. The following duties have been moved to the duty finder, the old Extreme, and the old 4 Savages. Yeah, queue up for automatic duty finder for P8S. It'll be fun and exciting. Don't invite me, because I will laugh at you and then say no, absolutely not. Anyway, players will now see the power of the Echo in event all party, not you. Players will now see the power of the Echo in the event all party members are incapacitated during the following trials: Mount Ordeals and Mount Ordeals Extreme. They're no longer current, so of course we're going to give you some bonuses. Weekly restrictions on Euphrosign and Euphrosign coins have been removed. Neat. The following adjustments have been made to the Omega Protocol. The weekly restriction to obtain Omega tokens have been removed. The level sync has been set to 635. There was a weekly restriction on the Ultimate. Why? Who would be dumb enough to do it? To like, what's the point? There's only one piece of gear you're gonna get from there, and that's the bloody weapon. it's silly. It's silly in the head. All right. I'm going to sum up the next 28 pages of these patch notes in one simple thing. There are new tomestones. They're called Tomestones of Comedy. I'm going to call them Joker Tomes. They are the new capstone. Their cap is now 450, just like the old capstones. By the way, the old capstones of Causality, or henceforth from here on out called Green Tomestones, are now uncapped stones. You can get as many as you want, and now you can, but they're now used for uncapped stuff. Red tomes, aka astronomy tomes, are now worthless. Exchange them for different tomestones. Aphorism or blue tomestones, soon to be deleted. If you haven't turned them in yet to get something more valuable, do it, because they're worthless, and now they're pretty soon going to be gone. Even more worthless than worthless. Codex still exist. All right. Expert roulette has been changed. Court of Troya is gone. Alleluia. Alleluia. Now Aether Font and Lapis Manalis is there. Any roulette, Court of Troya is there. And average item level to register has been increased from 560 to 575. If you have an item level problem, I don't know what to tell you. Quickly get uncapped tomestones and just go get 620 gear. Just get a bunch of pieces of it. And then while you're at it, get enough to just run the normal raid and then get 640 gear. If you have a trouble reaching a item level, the requirement cap of 575 at this point. Just get sticks. And then pretty much everything you expect has been added to. Wait, Euphrosyne was not in Duty Roulette Alliance raids? Huh, today I learned. Weird. Following duty has been added to the Duty Roulette normal raids, the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th circles. And Duty Roulette has been changed to add Aetherfont, Voidcast Dias, and the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th circles of Pandemonium. Average item level to register for Duty Roulette Mentor has been increased from 595 to 615, and now requires that you need at least half of your soul intact instead of 1/3. Obviously, I made that last part up. Otherwise, everything else is exactly what you expect. It's all exactly what you expect. Okay. By the way, new updates to Stone, Sky, and Sea. If you don't know what Stone, Sky, and Sea is, by the way, you really should go ahead and unlock it, because it is a very useful tool that is built into the game to see if your DPS is actually ready for high-end content. What it will do is that it'll put you in a time trial for DPSing a dummy, and if you can beat it, that's a good sign that you're ready to actually deal enough damage to do that high-end content, because the Savages and the Ultimates have very, very, very tight DPS checks. So if you're ever curious and don't want to go ahead and embarrass yourself in front of, 7 other people, first off, don't be afraid to embarrass yourself in front of 7 other people. That's what Party Finder's for. I just upset a bunch of people in my own static. No, tell those noobs to stay out of Party Finder. I need that to get my extra loot. That's too dang bad. You're gonna deal with noobs and you know it. Don't come complaining to me. But that's a good test, and you really should do that. Adjustments are made for the following instances. They all got supports. They all got little tweaks to the dungeon. The bosses, you might as well just assume they've all changed. Just like a little bit. They're all going to be unique experiences, and you can go ahead and have NPCs in as your other party members. So it could be some interesting stuff. All right, when going into variant dungeons, your currently equipped variant actions will be confirmed as a buff in your party window. Good stuff. All right, bug fix. Time remaining until everything goes south in I'll be mature. Another Sylvan subterranean savage, also known as I couldn't help myself. Will now have a time remaining until there is a dungeon-wide enrage. Following logos and actions have been adjusted in Eureka. I could care less. All right. Adjustments made to PvP. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know enough about various classes in PvP. Some of these are buffs, some of these are debuffs. Kind of just whatever you play in PvP, it's a good idea before you go in. Kind of get a feel for the damage and how everything behaves against the training dummies. This is a good idea. Or just do a casual match and just YOLO it. Like here from Dragoon, we see Winding Thrust has its bottom damage increased. Heaven's Thrust got a buff. Horrid Roar got a buff from 2,000 to 4,000. High Jump got nerfed from 5,000 to 4,000. Sky Shatter has been nerfed from 18,000 to 16,000. However, the increased potency of 32,000 to targets within 5 yalms has not been changed. So just a small nerf there on that one. So it's just a good idea. Just go through and see what changes have been made to your class. Has Warrior been changed at all? Sweet. Nothing's happened to Warrior. Reaper got some major changes though. So Reaper had Soul Slice's recast time reduced from 20 seconds to 15 seconds, and Soul Reaver can only be stacked, can only have 1 stack now instead of 2. Did I say Soul Reaver? Grim Swath, the maximum stacks of Soul Reaver. In addition, they have a new skill called Guillotine, which delivers an attack of potency 8,000 to all enemies in a cone. Before you can only execute one other effect of Soul Reaver. Gibbet and Hollows, which I assume used the effects of Soul Reaver before, are now gone. So, interesting. The new PvP season is coming up, and the mount of choice is this thing. It looks kind of like the bunny mount you get from doing the Loporitz Beast Tribe quest, but de-winged for raisins. So, interesting little thing. Cute. I might go ahead and try it. Person conflict. The improved visibility in Clockwork Castle Town. Height and size of certain objects in the field has been adjusted. Season 6's end and Season 7 will begin. Neat. If you want new rewards, etc., yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. Combination Crystal's new ranking tier will be added into Season 7, etc. A new icon above the Seasonal Quartermaster at the Wolf's Den for players who have yet to claim seasonal rewards. And that was a little indication if you weren't sure before. Use for Crystal and Conflict has been reverted. Neat. The following options for custom matches have now been toggled by default for arena events and kits. I'm curious what that means. Custom matches in Crystalline Conflict. Visible confusion. They actually mean like skill kits? I mean, you could like just straight up ban skills? Is that what they mean? What do they mean? I'm so confused. A bunch of updates have happened to Frontlines. A bunch of modifiers have been happened. From what I can tell, Warrior and Dark Knight got nerfed. Scholar got buffed. Tank and melee DPS modifier for damage taken has been changed from that. Okay. Tank and melee DPS modifier for damage taken has been buffed. Fizz range DPS, magic range DPS, and healer modifier for damage taken has been buffed, except for Dancer and Red Mage, in which Dancer and Red Mage got nerfed. Even in Frontlines, I get nerfed. No matter where I go, the Red Mage just keeps losing. More and more. Everywhere I go. Will lead into
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Anyway. Duration of stun, heavy, blind, silent, sleep, deep freeze have been reduced by 25%. The limb stats will no longer apply to players who are attacked while riding a mount. If a player is attacked while mounted, they will be forcibly dismounted and gain the hoofing it status for 5 seconds. Hoofing it makes it so you can't remount. I mean, honestly, if it was me, actually, no, never mind. With the quirkiness of this code, this is probably for the best. I was gonna say if they get hit, they should get a speed down and a dismount. But with the way server ticks work in this game. Probably just being dismounted and unable to remount for 5 seconds is probably less infuriating and probably better for everyone involved. Vulnerability status given at each Grand Company's base will now prevent all status and knockback effects while active, or more bullying. Designated quantity of Yana has been reduced from 800 to 700, and a whole bunch of other changes have been made. The designated tactical rating for winning a campaign. Okay, look, a whole bunch of stuff just changed in front lines. I don't know enough to give an intelligent opinion on it, on any of this, other than the fact that red mages have no love and are just being bullied. And I'm really upset by it. Just dive in. Dive in, see how it feels. I don't know. This is kind of getting to the point where there's like so many numbers here to talk about. It's like, oh, well, if I theory craft hard enough, it might be a buff or a nerf or a this or a that. Just dive in. See how it is. There's a new HUD UI. At the very top, it's going to show the current points of each of the 3 factions. Adders in yellow, Maelstrom in red, Flames in blue. Yes. So not only is this great for just the player's own convenience, because it's just easy to see who's at what, and you don't have to think as like someone who doesn't go in to front lines very often that adders are yellow, Maelstrom is red, and Flames are blue. You got the indicator right up there. Also for streamers though, the actual people trying to watch and see how things are going and how you are doing is now way easier. And I, for one, I love it. Absolutely love it. Daily Challenge Frontline will now give PvP Series EXP. So if you are sick of bashing your face against Elo hell inside of Crystalline Conflict, you can just go ahead and run Frontlines once in a while. I'm okay with that. Enjoy the chaos. New items have been added. Woo! I'm very indifferent on this gear. I'll give an opinion when I see this gear actually in game. Because right now it just looks like Sign 2.0 gear, and I'm just kind of eh. It looks like all these weapons and armors, they are going to be the new Tombstone gear, and they're all the grand winners of the weapon design contests, which means that, you know, everyone has really cool weapons. Look at that. We got Dark Knight with really cool looking sword with raven wings. We got a cerulean blue paladin blade. Warrior's got a buzzsaw that looks exactly like the Fellcleave animation with flames coming out of it. Sage gets fairy wings. Gunbreaker gets a cool gun looking blade. Scholars gets a gets like a little artist palette. White Mage gets a moon staff with a bunny resting in it. Astro gets a dual disc. All these cool weapons for melee. Looks like good stuff. Range got some really interesting stuff, although the Bard one looks kind of underwhelming. And then we look at the casters. Black Mage gets a cool blue lantern. Summoner gets another book, and Red Mage gets a limp French fry and a chicken nugget.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Why do you hate me? Why do you hate Red Mage mains? I don't want to be hated anymore. Anyway, New recipes have added. This is going to be our crafted gear. I remember someone mentioning that it looks like another set that existed, except now it's dyeable. Which, neat. I'd have to look at the pieces and see if there's like any cool glam sets you can make out of it. The Valentino gear pieces you got for the Valentine's event, you know, the one where the whole thing of it was to be yourself and don't let anyone tell you how you need to live your life. You know how all those gear pieces were gender locked and was a massive laughing pointing finger at you during the message of the Valentino event? Yeah, Square admitted that they're silly in the head and reverted so that they're now all can be equipped regardless of gender. And a portion of the equipment above will now display the character's skin tone of the character's model as a result of this change. Oh, the wrong skin tone. Dude, no, I want to go. Can I go back in time? I want to put these on my blue Mooney and see. This just like, not. You're pale now. Oh my god. Glamour system. If you're in the in room, you can go ahead and class glamour from basically anywhere. Don't worry about it. Radiance gear can now be purchased in exchange for sacks of nuts. So go do hunts and get old tome gear. There's new achievements. New items can now be desynth. Number of island prisms yield from crafting increased from 1 to 3 because now you need more of them. New conditions have been added for recipes. Good omen guarantee. Wait. New conditions have been added for expert recipes. These conditions may appear when using expert recipes added in 6.4. Good omen guarantees good material condition for the next step. Okay. It's late at night and maybe my brain can't process that. I'm sure when I wake up tomorrow morning, it's be like, you idiot, that's what it means. And it's like, oh. New miner and botanist gathering points have been added. If you thought you were going to go ahead and fish to get things, you probably will, but it's weird. New items have been added to gathering points, no surprise. Gathering attempts and integrity bonuses have been added to certain legendary notes, no surprise. Aquarium breeding has been added to filter and fish scenes. I didn't know you could breed fish. Fishing holes, new fishing holes have been added, no surprise. You can now do ocean fishing in Kugane. Good luck. Level cap for desynth has been increased from 620 to 640, no surprise there. New mounts have now existed, new chocobo barding, new minions. New fashion accessories because we can find new ways to go ahead and torture these poor things over on the island sanctuary, and so on and so forth. There have been tweaks to the way character creation is done. Neato. The following additions and adjustments have been made to achievements. Anyway, I'm not reading all that. Certain quests now display as question marks in the recommendations to prevent spoilers. Really? Really? You didn't? Oh, okay. In order to prevent server congestion immediately after the release of 6.4, we will now be implementing multiple fields in Rodzat-Han, Garlemald, and Elpis. Wow, spoilers. Now we know where exactly we're going. We're going to Rodzat-Han, Garlemald, and Elpis. So we can ignore... Wait, but we saw that we go to, we saw that we go to Mare. The moon. Are there still instances on the moon? Wait, why Elp? Oh, the raid. There's an option to display prices with the fee included, yada, yada, yada. Neat stuff. The following additions have been made to retainers. New items can now be obtained from quick exploration ventures. New retainer exploration, the layout of a retainer exploration venture note has been adjusted to include a search feature. Cool. That's long overdue. The following additions and adjustments have been made to gear sets. Gear sets can now be Used from the beginning of the game, hallelujah. Up to 100 gear sets may be saved. Now increase our glamour plates. When registering a gear set to a heart bar, the gear set's item level will now display on the tooltip. Neat. A guide using the gear sets has been added to the gear set list. When you are upgrading from a loser job to a job crystal job, it will now let you just transfer the hot bar instead of losing it all and then going, well, let's just do it again. Done. Neat. Duties that can be recorded have now been changed. You can no longer record a Galia, but you can now record your first sight. In a related story, I forgot you can record duties. Moving on. New stickers have been added. Neat. New portrait accents and adventure plates have been added. No idea if it includes top. Moving on. The following additions and adjustments have been made to portraits. New accents have been added. New poses have been added. Portraits will now display at the start of the following duties: treasure hunt dungeons and seasonal event instance dungeons. A message will now display in the portraits menu when no gear sets have been registered. If a character's current gear appearance does not match the last gear set they used for a specific portrait, a message will now be displayed indicating the gear does not match. Please also tell me it will actually display correctly, because I've had plenty of times where the yellow exclamation mark does not show up, and then when I go in, it's just like, oh, your portrait sucks, lol. Please tell me that's been fixed, because that's been driving me nucking butts. I'd slam this table, but it's 1 a.m. and people are sleeping. The following additions and adjustments have been made to player commendations. You can just double click them. That's pretty much all it is. Following adjustments are made to display names. You can now display the job or class icons in PvE areas. The following online status icons will not be displayed when a job class or job icons are enabled. Looking to meld. We're not going to talk about what that actually means. Looking for recruiting party members, party leader, party member, playing triple triad, or in duty. Please note, however, the away from keyboard icon will override the display of job icons. Font color for party members can now be changed according to roles. So now it can be red forever. Anyway, option to hide or display or hide the traveler title in instance duties has been added. Note this only affects the title's display on your screen. Small and smallest have been added to display name sizes. Out of battle option has been added to display name settings. Online statuses and traveler titles will no longer be displayed during instance battles in which players control NPCs. You could have had Thancred the Traveler. Whoops. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the Party and Alliance chat. You don't want to know. There's just a lot of them. Just go through your settings. Oh, actually, no. Here, there's actually a simplified version instead of me just lazily going through it. They have to display class and job role icons, and the chat log has been added. The option to display class or job abbreviations in the chat log actions. Wait, those were official. The option to change font color according to role has been added. When joining a recruiting party, the following categories will now be displayed in the chat log: objective, comment, and duty finder settings. So now they can go ahead and ignore what strats you're using after they enter the dungeon too, and not just when they join the party. Idiots. The option to align the party list to the bottom of the screen has been added. Neat. The default position and size of the alliance list has been adjusted. The default display size on the bottom right is set to 80%. The adjustment will not affect current displays, only reflect when creating a new character and the HUD's default layout. Attack target 6, attack target 7, attack target 8 have been added to signs. After raid check is completed, a sound effect depending on the result will now play. How we didn't have this before is beyond me. An option to store newly obtained items in the last open inventory slot has been added. I am too tired to comprehend what that means. The option to enable or disable hotbar placement has been added. There's been a whole bunch of little stuff. The layout of the repair request window has been adjusted to get ready to be shocked by it, and then go, whoa, when did this change? Every single time you're trying to repair from that one guy in your party, the only guy who actually went ahead and has an Omni job that can actually go ahead and repair everyone, because the rest of us were too bloody lazy to do it. Thank you, Scrubs, by the way. The classifications of companions in click filter settings has been changed from NPCs objects to pets and minions under the tab target in the controls of the character configuration menu. Additional icons have been added for user macros. PlayStation Plus members can go find other PlayStation Plus members and go shake hands, lol. The following additions have been adjusted to have been made for the PS4 and PS5 people. You can now find friends, lol. Members of the... Okay. Everyone who plays PS5, you can find each other much easier. Basically all it means. The following option added to the character configuration menu. Inventory settings, we already talked about that. And all the displays, we talked about all this. We talked about all this, it's just showing it again. Because these patch notes are written very weirdly and a lot of this is automatically generated. More text commands. And I'm pretty sure that's it. By the way, there's new music. And new sound effects and voices added. No. Next you're gonna tell me there's new orchestration rules. There's a bunch of new resolved issues. I'm making an executive decision saying I don't care. There's also a bunch of known issues. I am too tired to care. That's the patch notes. I'm going to leave it on the page of known issues if you want to go ahead and read them, but that's going to do it for me. I'm going to go to bed. But maybe tomorrow will come and then maybe I can go ahead and view a little bit of the patch before work. I'm kidding. I'm going to be waking up and hitting the shower like pretty much right away. They ask you how you are and you just say you're fine. Good night, everyone. Good night. Or have a good day, or how do I end YouTube videos again?